First, we're going to talk about payback period, one of the analyses or techniques used to analyze capital investments. The definition of payback period is the time period required to recover the cost of capital investment from the net annual cash flows. So back to Hogarth's example, where in year 0, or at the beginning of this project's life, we have an outflow of $23,000 to purchase the machine. In years 1, 2, 3, and 4, we have cash savings from this machine. So let's calculate the payback period for this investment. So looking at our example, we know that the initial outflow is $23,000. And the payback period is telling us how long, in terms of number of years it takes, to recover that initial outflow. Well, in year 1, we recover $10,000 of it, meaning that at the end of year 1, we have yet to recover $13,000 of that initial investment. At the end of year 2, we have cost savings or a cash inflow of $8,000, meaning that at the end of year 2, we've yet to recover $5,000 of the initial investment. And finally, at the end of year 3, we have cash savings or an inflow of $6,000. And that means that we have recovered all $23,000 of the initial investment. Now, I've treated it this way because of the given information in the case that said that all cash savings and cash flows occur at the end of the year. If this were not the case, if it were indeed the case that cash was collected regularly throughout the year, we could see that only part of year 3 is necessary to recover the rest of the $23,000 investment. In essence, if we assume that the cash is collected evenly throughout the year, then really $5,000 out of the $6,000 of cash savings that we have in year 3 takes us down to a full recovery amount. That means that 5/6 of the year, or 0.83 of the year, is required to recover the remainder of the $23,000. So in essence, we have year 1, year 2, and 0.83 of year 3 that leads to the full recovery of the initial outflow of $23,000. So the payback period under this alternative assumption is 2.83 years. Now let's talk about some advantages and disadvantages of using the payback period measure for capital investment decisions. First off, the payback period is quite simple. As you saw via this calculation, it's just a matter of counting up the years before the initial outflow is recovered. Another advantage is that it's an indicator of cash availability. Managers know when they will recover that initial outflow and when they'll have that cash for future periods. And finally, it's a surface level indicator of risk. And this is very important to understand when trying to compare multiple opportunities or investments. Knowing that an investment returns its cash earlier than others offsets the risk of perhaps a project becoming obsolete, especially in its later years. A key disadvantage of the payback period, however, is that it ignores other aspects of the investment. But what happens after payback is completed, after that initial outflow is completely recovered, is ignored in this measure.